A man gets pulled over for a broken tail light. That's it, a broken tail light. 30 seconds later, he's in handcuffs. 2 years later, he's sitting in a courtroom watching a jury decide the rest of his life. And the worst part, the thing that destroyed him wasn't what was in his car. It wasn't his past. It wasn't even the tail light. It was his mouth, the words he chose to say. 6 words. 6 words he said to that officer on the side of the road. And those 6 words became the centerpiece of the prosecution's entire case against him. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened, what laws were triggered in that moment, and what you should say and never say if you're ever in that situation. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never approach a traffic stop the same way again. Now, I want you to remember something as we go through this story. There's a moment, and I'll tell you exactly when it happens, where this man had a choice, a simple, totally legal choice that would have changed everything. He didn't know about it. Most people don't, and that's the part that keeps me up at night, honestly, because we're not talking about a career criminal here. We're talking about a regular guy, someone who probably looks a lot like your neighbor, maybe like you. So keep that in mind as we get into this, because the moment I'm talking about, it's coming. And when it hits, I want you to feel it. This is a fictional scenario, but I want to be clear right now. Every single law, every legal principle, every courtroom outcome in this story is rooted in real United States law. Real cases, real precedents, real consequences that happen to real people every single day across this country. So let's meet Marcus. Marcus Webb is a 34-year-old logistics coordinator from Columbus, Ohio. Married, 1 kid, no criminal record. Not a perfect guy, none of us are, but a regular working man trying to make it through the week. It's a Thursday night in late October. Marcus just left his buddy's place after watching a football game. He had 2 beers, maybe 3. He's not drunk, he feels completely fine on it, but there was alcohol. That detail matters. Remember it. That detail matters. Remember it. He's driving home on Route 40 about 11 minutes from his house. It's 11:14 p.m. The road is mostly empty, and then blue and red lights in the rearview mirror. His stomach drops, not because he's done anything seriously wrong, he thinks, but because you know that feeling. Everybody knows that feeling. Doesn't matter how innocent you are, those lights go on behind you and your heart rate doubles. Marcus pulls over. He rolls down his window. He puts his hands on the steering wheel like he's seen people do online. To do everything right. And that's when Officer Ray Callahan walks up to the window. Officer Callahan is polite, professional. He explains that Marcus has a brake light out on the rear passenger side. That's it, routine stop. He asks for license and registration. Marcus reaches into the glove box. His hands are a little shaky. Not because he's hiding anything, just nerves. And while he's fumbling with the registration, Officer Callahan leans slightly toward the window. He smells something, a faint odor. Now, and this is critical. Officer Callahan believes he smells the faint odor of alcohol. He's not certain, but in his experience, he thinks he does. So he asks Marcus a question, a very simple question. Sir, have you had anything to drink tonight? Marcus, being a normal, honest, slightly nervous human being, does what most of us would do. He answers the question. A simple answer. Yeah, I had like 2 beers earlier, but I'm totally fine. I'm not drunk or anything. Now right there, right in that sentence, Marcus just handed Officer Callahan the legal foundation for everything that comes next. We'll come back to exactly why in a minute. Officer Callahan now has what's called reasonable suspicion that Marcus may be impaired. He asks Marcus to step out of the vehicle. He conducts a field sobriety test. Marcus does okay. Not great, but okay. The officer then asks Marcus to submit to a portable breathalyzer test right there on the roadside. And here's where the second mistake happens. Marcus, still trying to be cooperative, trying to be the good guy, says, and I need you to hear this clearly, I mean, I don't think I'm drunk. Go ahead, you can test me. I've got nothing to hide. He consented voluntarily without being asked twice. The breathalyzer reads 0.09. The legal limit in Ohio is 0.08. 1/100% over the limit. 1/100th. Officer Callahan places Marcus under arrest for OVI, operating a vehicle impaired. That's Ohio's version of a DUI. Marcus's car gets impounded. He spends the night in a holding cell. His wife picks him up at 6 in the morning. But here's where this story goes, somewhere most people don't expect. When Marcus's car is impounded and inventoried, officers find a legally owned firearm in his trunk. Marcus has a valid concealed carry permit, completely legal. But during the inventory search, they also find a small digital scale and a sealed plastic bag with a residue that tests positive for a controlled substance. Marcus says it's not his, says he borrowed the car to his cousin 2 weeks ago and had no idea. Maybe that's true, maybe it isn't. But here's what matters now. Because Marcus was arrested, because that arrest was triggered by the traffic stop, because that traffic stop escalated because of what Marcus said. Everything found in that car is now potentially admissible evidence. A broken taillight turned into a drug-related charge, and it all started with 6 words. Yeah, I had like 2 beers. Legal breakdown. Here's what you need to know. Okay, let's slow down and unpack what actually happened legally, because this is where it gets really important, and I want you to understand every piece of this. First, the 4th Amendment to the United States Constitution. This is your protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. It means law enforcement generally cannot search you, your car, or your belongings without either a warrant, your consent, or what's called an exception to the warrant requirement. Now, here's something most people don't realize. A traffic stop, even for something as small as a broken taillight, is a lawful stop. The Supreme Court confirmed this in cases like Miranda versus United States back in 1996. Officers can pull you over for any valid traffic violation, even a minor one. And this is a big but, that stop has limits. The officer can ask for your license, registration, and insurance. That's it. The stop is supposed to be about the traffic violation. However, if during that stop, the officer develops what the law calls reasonable suspicion of additional criminal activity, they can extend the stop and investigate further. And what creates reasonable suspicion? It can be an odor, it can be your behavior, and yes, it can be something you say. When Marcus said he had 2 beers, he handed the officer reasonable suspicion on a silver platter. He was not legally required to answer that question. The 5th Amendment to the Constitution gives every American the right not to incriminate themselves. That means you can legally, politely, and without consequence decline to answer questions that might incriminate you. You could say, "Officer, I respect you and I'm happy to provide my license and registration. I'd prefer not to answer questions without speaking to an attorney first." That's it. That's legal. That's your right. And it does not make you look guilty. All right. So it makes you look like someone who knows their rights. Now, the breathalyzer. This is where state law and consent law intersect. Most states have what are called implied consent laws. When you get a driver's license, you implicitly agree to do chemical testing, blood, breath, or urine. Satsy! If you are lawfully arrested for impaired driving, refusing after a lawful arrest can result in automatic license suspension and can sometimes be used against you in court, but a roadside portable breathalyzer, the handheld device officers use at the scene before an arrest, that's different. In many states, including Ohio, you have the right to refuse a pre-arrest portable breath test. There can be a small civil penalty in some states, but it is generally far less damaging than a reading that gives probable cause for arrest. Marcus didn't know that, so he consented. Now, the inventory search. This is the part that surprises most people. When a vehicle is lawfully impounded following a lawful arrest, police can conduct what's called an inventory search. This is not a Fourth Amendment search for evidence. It's an administrative procedure to document the contents of the vehicle. And here's the key. Anything they find during that inventory can be used against you. So the chain is unbroken. Lawful stop, escalated by statement, arrest supported by breathalyzer, inventory search reveals more evidence. And all of it flows from that first moment when Marcus chose to answer a question he didn't have to answer. Hey, real quick, if you're watching this and you're thinking, I never knew any of this, you are not alone. Most people don't. That's exactly why this channel exists. If this video is opening your eyes, drop a like right now. It takes 2 seconds and it genuinely helps YouTube show this to more people who need to hear it. People who might be driving home tonight and have no idea what their rights are. All right, let's get back to Marcus, because here's where it gets even more interesting. Marcus gets himself a defense attorney named Patricia Cole, sharp, experienced, and she starts pulling at every thread of this case, and she finds something. She files a motion to suppress. That means she's asking the judge to throw out certain evidence because she believes it was obtained in violation of Marcus's constitutional rights. Her argument is layered. She challenges whether Officer Callahan had a strong enough basis to extend the stop and administer field sobriety tests. She argues that the escalation was triggered largely by Marcus's own statement, a statement he made without being informed of his right to remain silent. Here's the thing about Miranda rights that most people get wrong. You've heard it on every cop show. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Most people think that warning has to come before police can ask you anything. That is not correct. Miranda warnings are required before a custodial interrogation. That means you have to be in custody, under arrest, or otherwise not free to leave. And you have to be interrogated. A roadside question during a traffic stop? In most situations, courts have held that you are not yet in custody in the Miranda sense. So the officer has no obligation to Mirandize you before asking if you've been drinking, which means your words, your voluntary, well-meaning, trying to be cooperative words can be used against you before you ever receive that warning. That is the twist. That is the part that changes how you think about this forever. Patricia Cole's motion is partially granted. The judge suppresses some evidence related to how the scale and residue were discovered, finding procedural issues with how the inventory was documented. But Marcus's own statement about the beers, the breathalyzer result, those stay in. Marcus eventually pleads to a reduced charge. He avoids prison time, but he has a conviction on his record now. His commercial driver's certification, which he needs for his job, suspended. He loses income. His family struggles for 18 months while he rebuilds, all from a broken taillight and 6 words. So what do you actually actually do if you're pulled over? Let me give you a clear, legal, ethical framework. And I want to be completely transparent. This is not legal advice. I'm not your attorney. But these are principles rooted in real constitutional law that you should know. Number 1, stay calm and be polite. Always. Being rude or combative with an officer never helps you and can make the situation far worse. Courtesy costs you nothing. Courtesy. Number 2, you are required to provide your license, vehicle registration, and proof of insurance. Do that. No argument there. Number 3, you are not required to answer questions beyond identifying yourself in most states. If an officer asks where you're going, where you've been, whether you've been drinking, you can politely say, "Officer, I'd prefer not to answer questions without speaking to an attorney." Okay. You are not being hostile. You are exercising a constitutional right. Number 4, do not consent to searches. If an officer asks to search your vehicle, you can clearly and calmly say, "I do not consent to a search." This does not mean they won't search. If they have probable cause, they may proceed anyway. But your lack of consent is documented and can matter in court. Number 5, know your state's implied consent laws before you need to know them. Look up whether your state allows refusal of a pre-arrest portable breath test and what the consequences are. This is information you want before you're standing on the side of a dark road at 11 p.m. Number 6, if you are arrested, stop talking. Invoke your right to an attorney clearly and immediately. Say the words, "I am invoking my right to remain silent and I want an attorney." Then stop speaking about the case until you have one. And number 7, maybe the most important one. Knowing your rights is not about being uncooperative or anti-law enforcement. The vast majority of officers are professionals doing a difficult job. Knowing your rights is about protecting yourself from making an honest, innocent mistake in a high-pressure moment. That's it. That's all this is. I want to ask you something before we close this out. And I mean this genuinely. Did you know all of this before you watched this video? Because if you didn't, if even one piece of this changed how you'd handle a situation like Marcus's, please subscribe to Courtroom Secrets right now. This channel exists for one reason, because what you don't know about the law can cost you your job, your freedom, and your future. And you deserve to know this stuff. You earn the right to understand the system you live inside. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Hi, you're C-Tree, She-You-Are, Fox-Tree. I want to know, did the Miranda rights part surprise you? Because honestly, most people get that one completely wrong. Tell me what you thought you knew before this video. Let's talk about it down there. Marcus Webb, fictional as he is, represents thousands of real people who walk into situations like this every year without a roadmap. Good people, nervous people, cooperative people who just want to get home to their families. And the law, as brilliant and protective as it is when you understand it, can become a weapon against you when you don't. There's something almost heartbreaking about the fact that the rights designed to protect you are the same rights you accidentally waived. The moment you try to be nice, try to cooperate, try to have nothing to hide, you can be honest and still be quiet. You can be respectful and still say, "I'd prefer to speak to an attorney." You can have nothing to hide and still protect your rights. Those things are not contradictions. They are wisdom. Marcus lost 18 months of his life and a career credential over a broken taillight and one unguarded sentence. Don't let that be your story. Know your rights, protect them, and come back here every week because this is only the beginning. And speaking of things that can change your life in a single moment, next week on Courtroom Secrets, I'm taking you inside a case where a homeowner called 911 to report a break-in and then said 3 words that turned him from victim to suspect in under 4 minutes. 3 words, 4 minutes, and a legal principle that almost nobody knows about. You do not want to miss that one. I'll see you there. I'm David Hanna. This has been Courtroom Secrets. Stay sharp.